Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, Forever in Memory. In this video, we'll be honoring American celebrities who have passed away today and in recent days, along with other notable figures from around the world. Before we begin, please show your support by giving this video a like. It really helps the channel. Thank you. And let's get started.
D'Angelo died at the age of 51, American singer-songwriter, known for his pioneering influence on neo-soul and contemporary R&B. Emerging in the mid-1990s with his groundbreaking debut, Brown Sugar, he redefined the sound of modern soul, fusing gospel roots, funk rhythm, and jazz harmony into something deeply human and timeless. Born Michael Eugene Archer in Richmond, Virginia, D'Angelo grew up surrounded by church music and the spiritual cadence of gospel choirs. His early fascination with Prince, Marvin Gaye, and Al Green shaped a sound that was both sensual and introspective. With his 2000 masterpiece, Voodoo, he reached the height of his artistry, crafting an album that blurred the line between groove and meditation, performance and confession. Despite his fame, D'Angelo withdrew from the spotlight for many years, struggling with personal battles while preserving the authenticity of his art. His later return with Black Messiah in 2014 was both triumphant and reflective, a political and emotional statement that reminded the world of his unmatched sensitivity and depth. D'Angelo's legacy is that of a quiet revolutionary, an artist who reshaped soul music not through volume, but through vulnerability. His voice, warm and searching, remains one of the most intimate sounds of modern music, a reminder that true artistry lies not in perfection, but in honesty.
Gurney Norman died at the age of 88, American writer and educator, remembered as one of the defining voices of Appalachian literature. Born in Grundy, Virginia, and raised in the hills of eastern Kentucky, he transformed the landscape of his youth into a lifelong source of storytelling, rich with memory, struggle, and compassion. His acclaimed works, including Divine Right's Trip and Kinfolks, captured the rhythm of rural life with rare honesty and lyricism. Norman's prose carried the quiet wisdom of the mountains, blending folklore, realism, and spiritual reflection. As a professor at the University of Kentucky, he inspired generations of young writers to see dignity in ordinary lives and to listen to the voices often left unheard. Beyond his fiction, Gurney Norman served as a bridge between tradition and modernity, reminding readers that Appalachia was not a relic of the past, but a living, breathing culture of resilience and grace. His work endures as a gentle act of preservation, filled with empathy, humor, and deep reverence for the human spirit.
Ms. Major Griffin Gracie died at the age of 78. American transgender activist and community leader, remembered as one of the foundational voices in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights and dignity. Born in Chicago, she came of age in an era of silence and hostility, yet turned her own struggle into a lifelong mission of advocacy and care for others. A veteran of the Stonewall Uprising, Ms. Major became a guiding force for generations of transgender women, particularly those of color, who faced systemic discrimination and violence. Her work with organizations such as the Transgender, Gender Variant, and Intersex Justice Project TGIJP, gave visibility and support to incarcerated trans people, a group long ignored even within the broader movement. Her leadership was never about fame or politics. It was about survival, sisterhood, and love. Through decades of activism, she built communities grounded in mutual aid and compassion, offering safe spaces where people could reclaim their humanity. Ms. Major's legacy lives in every act of defiance, care, and solidarity that continues her work, a reminder that justice is not only a demand, but a daily practice of empathy and truth. Alexander Dityatin died at the age of 68, Russian gymnast and three-time Olympic champion, remembered as one of the most precise and disciplined athletes in the history of artistic gymnastics. Born in Leningrad, he began training at an early age, quickly earning a reputation for his technical accuracy and calm, methodical approach to competition. At the 1980 Moscow Olympics, Dityatin made history by becoming the first athlete to win a medal in every gymnastics event, 8 in total, a record that remains unmatched. His flawless routines, particularly on the rings and vault, combined strength with an almost architectural sense of control. Beyond medals, his performances defined an era of Soviet excellence built on rigor, focus, and composure under immense pressure. After retiring from competition, Dityatin dedicated himself to coaching and sports education, passing his knowledge and discipline to a new generation of gymnasts. His name remains synonymous with perfectionism and integrity, a symbol of how dedication and inner balance can turn athletic mastery into enduring art.
Tony Caunter died at the age of 88, English actor, remembered for his steady presence on British television and his long, distinguished career on stage and screen. Born in Birmingham, he trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, developing a craft grounded in precision and empathy. Over the decades, Caunter appeared in some of Britain's most beloved series, including EastEnders, where his portrayal of Roy Evans made him a familiar and trusted face to millions of viewers. He was also known for his work in Z-Cars, Doctor Who, and numerous theater productions, where his professionalism and quiet authority earned the respect of colleagues and audiences alike. Beyond fame or celebrity, Tony Caunter embodied the virtues of a true character actor, reliable, disciplined, and deeply human in every performance. His career reflected a lifelong devotion to storytelling, and his work continues to resonate as a testament to the enduring power of craft and humility in British acting.
Nasser Tagvai died at the age of 84, Iranian film director and screenwriter, remembered as one of the central figures of Iran's new wave cinema. Born in Abadan, a port city shaped by oil and industry, he drew much of his inspiration from the working-class lives and coastal landscapes of southern Iran. His films reflected both the poetry and the hardship of ordinary existence, stories told with quiet realism, deep empathy, and visual restraint. Tagvai's early works, including Tranquility in the Presence of Others and Captain Khorshid, marked a turning point in Iranian cinema, introducing a literary and humanist sensibility that broke from convention. He combined social observation with moral introspection, revealing the dignity of people caught between tradition and change. Throughout his career, he resisted commercial formulas, staying true to his vision even in times of censorship and limitation. His influence extended far beyond his own filmography, shaping generations of Iranian directors who saw in his work a model of artistic integrity and courage. Nasser Tagvai leaves behind not only a body of remarkable films, but also a philosophy of cinema, one that believed in honesty, compassion, and the enduring strength of human spirit. Jeff Bridges was born in Los Angeles in 1949 into a family where cinema was not a distant dream, but part of everyday life. His father, Lloyd Bridges, was already a well-known actor. His mother, Dorothy, a poet and writer with a quiet strength that balanced the family's creative energy. The house in which Jeff grew up was filled with scripts, laughter, and late-night conversations about art, craft, and the strange world of performance. For the Bridges family, film was not just work, it was language, rhythm, a way of seeing the world. From an early age, Jeff absorbed this atmosphere. He spent his childhood on studio sets, wandering between cameras, lights, and director's chairs, observing his father at work. These were not just family visits, they were lessons in discipline and patience. He saw how a single line could be delivered in a dozen ways, how silence could speak more powerfully than words, and how true professionalism was built on respect. Respect for colleagues, for the audience, and for the story itself. The Bridges home, however, was not one of pressure or expectation. Lloyd and Dorothy raised their children with freedom to explore, to question, to fail. Jeff learned early that art is not about perfection, but about honesty. He was encouraged to paint, to play music, to try photography, to read widely. His older brother, Bo, also followed their father into acting, and together they grew up in an environment where competition gave way to collaboration, and where curiosity was the family's main tradition. In high school, Jeff began to show interest not only in performance, but in the technical side of cinema, the camera, editing, sound. He was fascinated by how stories came together, how rhythm and emotion were created in the cutting room. He was also a talented musician, spending long nights with a guitar, finding in music the same emotional truth that he would later search for in acting. When he enlisted in the Coast Guard Reserve after school, it was not a rebellion against the family legacy, but an extension of his search for self. He learned discipline, teamwork, and humility, lessons that would later shape his presence, both on and off screen. Those years gave him distance from Hollywood and a clearer understanding of his own identity beyond the Bridges name. Upon returning to Los Angeles, Jeff began studying acting seriously. He attended workshops, watched the masters, and learned to listen, not just to dialogue, but to silence. His teachers described him as effortlessly real, someone who never chased emotion, but allowed it to surface naturally. That authenticity would become his signature. In his early 20s, Jeff began appearing in small film and television roles, often understated, but always memorable. Casting directors noticed something rare. He didn't perform characters, he inhabited them. His gestures were unhurried, his eyes alive with thought, his voice carrying the calm weight of sincerity. Even in his first appearances, there was a quiet magnetism, the sense that he wasn't acting for approval, but for truth.
As the 1970s unfolded,
Jeff Bridges' career began to mature in rhythm with the changing heartbeat of American cinema. It was an era that prized realism and vulnerability, and Bridges, with his quiet sincerity and lack of theatrical ego, fit naturally into its landscape. He was part of a new generation of actors who seemed to live their roles rather than perform them. Men whose gestures were subtle, whose silences carried weight. After The Last Picture Show brought him national attention, Bridges became known for his uncanny ability to disappear into any character without losing his own center. He followed that success with Fat City, 1972, a raw, unvarnished story of broken boxers and faded dreams. His portrayal of a young fighter teetering between ambition and defeat revealed a sensitivity that defied Hollywood's expectations of masculinity. Directors noticed. Critics wrote of him as an actor with the calm of a poet and the instincts of a working man. Through the mid-1970s, Bridges continued to make deliberate, unconventional choices. He refused to be typecast, moving easily from intimate dramas to philosophical adventures. In Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, 1974, alongside Clint Eastwood, he combined humor and melancholy in a way that made audiences laugh one moment and ache the next. His nomination for Best Supporting Actor confirmed what colleagues already knew. Jeff Bridges didn't chase roles for fame. He followed the pulse of truth inside them. Away from the screen, Bridges led a life remarkably free of Hollywood artifice. He painted, wrote music, and carried his camera everywhere, capturing quiet details of the world around him. Photography for him was not a hobby, but a way to remain present, a discipline of observation that deepened his acting. He once said that the lens reminded him to pay attention to what's actually happening, not what I expect to happen. That philosophy would come to define his entire craft. As he entered the 1980s, Bridges began to balance the momentum of his career with an expanding sense of identity. He took roles that explored the tension between dream and disillusionment, the lost idealism of post-war America and the uncertainty of modern life. Films like Cutter's Way and Starman, 1984, revealed an artist unafraid of vulnerability. In Starman, playing an alien learning to be human, he brought tenderness and humor to a story that could have easily collapsed under its own sentimentality. Instead, he turned it into a meditation on empathy, a reminder that connection is both fragile and essential. During these years, Bridges began to develop a reputation not only for his artistry, but for his professionalism. Directors spoke of his quiet preparation, his generosity on set, and his habit of creating an atmosphere of calm concentration. He was known for arriving early, staying late, and never letting vanity interfere with the work. To him, filmmaking was not about hierarchy or stardom. It was a collective act of storytelling. Yet behind his composure, there was a restless curiosity. Bridges didn't see acting as an end in itself, but as a lifelong apprenticeship. He read widely, philosophy, poetry, Zen, searching for ways to align his inner life with his creative one. Meditation became part of his daily routine. He once described acting as a form of meditation in motion, a process of surrender rather than control. That approach gave his performances a grounded stillness that audiences could feel even when he was barely speaking. It was also during this period that his personal life deepened. In 1977, while filming Rancho Deluxe in Montana, he met Susan Jeston, a waitress working near the set. Their connection was immediate, not dramatic but steady, built on mutual respect and quiet affection. They married soon after and built a family far from the glare of Hollywood's constant spotlight. To Bridges, Family became both refuge and compass, a reminder that the most meaningful roles were the ones lived off-screen. By the end of the 1980s, Jeff Bridges had become one of the actors of his generation to balance consistent critical acclaim with personal integrity. His body of work already displayed astonishing range, from drifters and dreamers to men of conscience and complexity. Yet through it all, one quality remained unchanged: authenticity. In every frame, he appeared utterly present, as if the camera had stumbled upon a real person rather than a performance. This was the foundation of what would become his defining trait: a capacity to dissolve the barrier between fiction and reality. Jeff Bridges didn't just portray life, he inhabited it. And as the next decades would show, that rare ability would carry him through transformations that few actors in modern cinema have achieved. From the promising son of an actor to one of the most quietly powerful storytellers in film history. As the 1990s arrived, Jeff Bridges entered the mature stage of his career with a sense of quiet assurance. He was no longer the rising star of American cinema, but a fully realized artist whose very presence could anchor a film.